Hello, I'm Robert Wright Baxter. Here is what I would like you to remember about me. My story all started on February 2, 1820, in Ballywester, Donaghadee or Bangor Parish, County Down, Ireland. I was the firstborn child. My father John Baxter was born 1793, in Ireland. He was a merchant and farmer and worked in a diving bell on ships in Scotland. My grandparents were Robert Baxter, born around 1754, and Mary Donaldson. He was a merchant. My mother Margaret Wright was born in 1798, in Ireland. My grandparents were John Wright and Jane Agnew. My family were Scottish Presbyterians and may have come from Scotland to settle in Northern Ireland. When they married in 1818, my mother was 6 years younger than my father. I had 8 siblings: John, Mary, Jane, James, William, Elizabeth, Sarah and David. We had such a large family. At age 12 I was apprenticed to my mother's cousin Robert Agnew in Scotland to become a shoemaker. I wed Jane McKinnon or Love on February 1, 1848, at age 27 in Scotland. She was born in 1823, in Scotland. She was 24 years old when we married, 3 years younger than me. We had 9 cute children: Robert, Archibald, Jane, Willard, Stephen, Jerusha, Lily, Margaret and John. Families were large back then. My first wife was Isabella Gray, who died. I later married Jane Jean McKinnon or Love, a cousin of my wife Jane Love, on December 28, 1856, at age 36 in Salt Lake City. She was born in 1820, in Scotland. She was 36 years old when we married, the same age as me. We had one son, John. I was one of the early converts to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Scotland and knew it was the true church the first time I heard a sermon. I served as a missionary while making a scat living as a shoemaker. I emigrated to America in 1855, crossing the ocean in a sailing ship and crossing the plains in a covered wagon with my family of small children. We helped settle the town of Wellsville in Utah Territory. I then married Marion McIntosh Stewart on October 11, 1868, at age 48 in Salt Lake City. She was born in 1851, in Scotland. She was 17 years old when we married, 31 years younger than me. We had 3 children: Catherine, Daniel, and James. All our children were born in Wellsville, Utah. I had one other spouse and one other child, Isabella Gray. I had 72 grandchildren, including my oldest son Robert Love Baxter Jr., who married Eleanor Barnes, and my grandson John Barnes Baxter, who married Norma Olson. Mary, Eleanor, Martha, Robert, Archibald, Harriet, John, William, Joseph and Milton from my son Robert. Robert, Ezra, Essie, Archibald, Parley, Joseph and Preston from my daughter Jane. Willard, Robert, James, Jane, Stephen, Ezekiel, Sarah and Archie from my son Willard. Ella, Elizabeth, Golden, William, Clara, Simpson and L.A. from my son Stephen. Jane, Peter, William, Robert, Rulon, Adalbert and Parley from my daughter Jerusha. Henry, Sarah, Charles, Archibald, Luella and Ira from my daughter Lily. Barbara, William, Ella, Preston, Verna, Ernest, Leslie, Margaret, Lemoyne and Mary from my daughter Margaret. Valton, John, Sarah, Jane, Susie, Clane, Alfonso, Mary, Kenneth and Parley from my son John. Robert, Andrew, Marion, Charles, Merrill, Emma and Olivia from my daughter Catherine. A lifetime full of memories. Please read my autobiography for many of my adventures. I passed away in 1912 surrounded by my numerous posterity. I hope you found this fascinating. Farewell, love and kisses.